Hi guys, it's Carissa, and I'm going to do sort of a mishmash video. I don't know when in the next few days I'll have time to make a video for you. And I've been making notes on some keto stuff that I wanted to talk about. And I'm about to go over to my sister's house for a little while, so I figured I'd do some quick and dirty makeup and then talk to you a little bit about keto. And I hope that however I end up deciding to title this video doesn't look like it's just clickbait, because I really do want to talk about what life is like without keto. And every title I keep thinking about makes it sound like I'm quitting, or I quit, or I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm reading too far into it, which I'm really good at. So anyway, let me get started here and try to make a face real quick. So as some of you may know, I have recently experienced an ectopic pregnancy, and actually today I just received word that it is officially over. So there go the last 2 months of my life, but at least it's over and done with, and I'm very thankful that I got to the other side of it without having to have any surgery. And the surgery wouldn't have been a simple D&C. It would have been much more complicated than that. So, and there were a lot of risks involved. So I am definitely really thankful for that. In the time that I was waiting to have my numbers go back down to 0 and clear myself of that pregnancy, I stopped eating keto 100%. I stopped being 100% keto, I guess is what I mean to say. I had good days and bad days. I had good moments and really bad moments. I never fully decided that I wasn't eating that way anymore, but I kind of just did an evaluation of how I felt at the time. And some days I was in a really terrible mood and I felt really crummy, and I felt physically awful, and I would eat badly, and that would just make things worse. But for some reason, I felt like it was justified for a couple of reasons. And I'm not looking for validation of these things. This is just how I got through this time period. One is that the effects of keto were that I was able to get pregnant naturally on my own twice in 1 year. Twice in 1 calendar year. Both times they were dud pregnancies, and one of them was, a doozy, obviously, but it happened for the first time in my life. And I wanted to make my body as inhospitable as possible to this sort of little sack of doom that was on the corner of my uterus. So what I ended up doing was I couldn't eat anything that had folic acid in it or folate. And I kind of wanted to eat things that would spike my blood sugar every now and then. I thought if eating that way before is at least part of the reason why I couldn't get pregnant, then maybe it will help me to not stay pregnant, even though it wasn't a viable there was no fetal pole or heartbeat or anything. And I'm glad there wasn't. That would have been really tragic, wouldn't it, if I had finally had something actually worthwhile going on in there and we had to terminate it. But what I will tell you is I couldn't eat broccoli or avocados because they had folate. But even if I wanted to cheat, I had to be careful because, and I'm kind of trying to get away from that word cheat because I feel like it has a negative connotation, and this is my life. It's not, I feel like I should be able to eat some things badly, but that's another story for another day. I had felt like I wanted to, sometimes just eat bread, like eat toast or eat pretzels or something like that. And those things had folate as well. So I had to be really careful and pay attention to ingredients, no more or less than usual, but I had to keep things like that in mind. Even if I was trying to be a little bit self-destructive, I had to make sure of that. The other reason why I decided to eat poorly on occasion, not all the time, was because I felt like I had nothing left some days. And I know that's not true, but everyone, I think, to some extent has some sort of a vice. I don't think that there's any such thing as a person being 100% perfect all the time. And a long time ago, I tried to stop using retail therapy as a way of getting through feeling badly. That's how I ended up with so much makeup in my house, and I didn't want to unnecessarily or excessively spend because it doesn't make me feel better at all. And I just felt like food doesn't even make me feel better, but it was something to look forward to every now and then. And the days felt very, very long and very, very painful sometimes. So if what would get me through or make me feel better was going out and having a Mexican dinner with my husband and having some sangria and just trying to forget about everything, sometimes that happened. And you know what? In those moments, I did feel a little bit better, and to me, that was worth it. But I sort of fell into a little bit of a routine where I was making some poor choices a little too regularly, a little too frequently. And even if I started off the day well or with good intentions, when I would have plans with friends or, well, basically any social situation or time with family, it was really hard to not fall into some bad habits. So I am planning on getting back on track, and I want you to know that I know that people find it difficult. I know that the holidays are coming up, and I know there's a lot of people who are like, well, screw it, I'm just going to wait until the beginning of the year. And I can understand that, but there's a lot of days in December that aren't Christmas or aren't whatever you celebrate. So I think that it's well worth it to not feel like, well, I'm just going to stick myself in the doghouse until I feel like it's time to come out. So that's what I'm doing, even though there are days where I feel like, hey, what do you think you're gonna accomplish? Exactly. I get it. I understand. Trust me. So I want to talk a little bit about what life is like without keto, because it's easy to say once you start doing it, hey, this is how it improved my life up until this point. And these are the changes that it made to my body. But I don't often hear about how people feel when they relapse. And there's probably good reason for that, because most people take a day or two or a weekend or maybe even a week, maybe a month or so, and they get right back into it. And I think they just want to forget about how badly they felt and how badly they wanted to be back on track. But I want to talk about this for my reference, first of all, but also to encourage anyone who hasn't done it and who is scared to try to start making a list. Do it. The first 2 or 3 days suck really bad because you're going through withdrawals, but after that, you feel invincible. There's no other word for it. You are Bradley Cooper in Limitless without drugs and scary men chasing you. It is the greatest feeling. And so, you know what? There's so much benefit to it, but go ahead and be superficial and say, I just want to lose weight. But the other aspects of what you gain are just unlike anything else. People drink coffee. People have caffeine specifically to try and get to the place where you end up being when you are eating low carb. So I want to share with you a list that I've compiled of the things that I noticed in the time that I was kind of allowing myself to be miserable. And I wasn't just sitting around feeling sorry for myself, but there were days that were really hard. So first things first, when I had carbs, I would feel tired and cranky. Oh, I was so cranky, round the clock cranky. I was hungrier than usual because after eating something that I really shouldn't have, a little while later, I would feel like I wanted more. And even sometimes while I was eating, I actually felt hungry too, which was really a bizarre feel, like an actual hunger pain. That was a really bizarre thing to experience. I would get easily distracted and feel really lazy. And I lacked ambition completely and totally. Now, some people could argue that that's depression, but I think that in the last couple of weeks, I have been feeling a lot better and not really thinking about the pregnancy loss and all of that, I have really been good about that. I've also been staying off of social media as much as possible to limit my exposure to things that will make me sad. So as I was feeling all of these other things, I related them directly to my diet. So I thought, all right, I'm done feeling like this. I'm going to start eating right again. But I had such unbelievable apathy, and that is the side effect that I think is the worst and the most forgettable. I didn't know how much I didn't care about how bad I felt. So basically, I didn't feel good, and I didn't care that I didn't feel good, and I didn't care about anything at all. I was so unbelievably untouchable emotionally because I was just so apathetic about everything. And that was like 2 days ago, okay? That was not even deep into it. So stay with me here. I was feeling hot and uncomfortable all day long, but at night when I was trying to sleep, it was really bad. I was bloated and achy, my joints hurt, and I could tell that I was retaining water. I was spending more money on food because when you open up the possibilities of things that you can eat, I know people say that they think keto is expensive, but I've said in the past, it depends on what you eat. If you have steak every day or several times a week, of course it's going to cost more than if you eat different ingredients. So there are ways of making it affordable. But if you open up the possibilities to, to not limit things, then you can find yourself spending so much more money on food because there are no limits, there are no rules. So you can buy more things and it does become more expensive, or you can eat out at places that you normally wouldn't go and things like that. And the aforementioned alcohol, that costs money as well, which, I don't even really drink very much, so it's not that much. But you know what I'm saying? That's a drink that I wouldn't normally have had. And that goes for everything else that I had eaten. One of the things that I had to tell myself was that eating poorly and emotional eating, it never fixes anything, and it doesn't ever truly make me happier. It is just a quiet rebellion against my problems that only ends up hurting me. And sometimes I kind of want to hurt me because I am feeling like I'm self-destructive and I don't care about the consequences. I'll deal with it tomorrow. But when it comes down to it, that's something that I could find myself saying every day. And that's where it gets dangerous. So I had to really focus my mind and energy on the fact that I am really only fighting myself and no one else did any of this to me at all. So that kind of helped me pull myself together, and I still have to remind myself of it pretty regularly. But I think that helped a lot. The other person that suffers is Mike. And I realized that it doesn't matter how much I hate myself some days and sometimes, and how angry I feel about the situation we're in, I would never ever want to do anything to hurt him directly. So I have to pay attention to the fact that when I decide to not eat keto and not work on making myself healthier and making myself feel better, I'm hurting him in all different ways. Financially, I hurt us by spending more money on food, reckless food, and things that I don't need or don't actually want. It hurts us because I get cranky and I'm hard to be around and I let my emotions take over me. And it hurts us because I get lazy and I don't want to clean around the house or do laundry or do anything positive or beneficial to our home. I need to be a much lower weight, and all of our plans for the future, whether they involve children or not, I need to be the healthiest person I can be for him. And it would really hurt me if he did the same and didn't care about the consequences for us. So that really pulls me back into things, and it just makes everything seem a lot clearer, and it makes me feel like there's my focus right there. There's the goal I have to work towards, is to make everything better for that man that I love. So let's talk about some of the things I've been feeling lately, physical and mental. And feel free to laugh along with me because some of this is hilarious, that diet affects me in this way, and that I would continue to eat in a way that does these things to me. So There are some things that I didn't write down because they're obvious to me. Like I don't sleep well and I get headaches easily, things like that. These are the other things that happen. I notice everything's dry. My contacts are always terribly dry. On keto, I never had to use rewetting drops. My vision was completely clear. But without it, I am constantly rewetting my contacts or just getting tired of it and putting my glasses on. My eyes and my hands are probably the worst. My hands get super dry and I get terrible eczema, which gets worse because of stress. So it's just sort of a horrible cycle. I have rapid growth of what I call bad hair, which are like the chin hair and the lip hair and, you know, the hair that you don't want on your body as a woman. Those things grow much more quickly and I find myself dealing with them more often. I am so snotty and congested and I feel like I can't breathe well when I go to bed, and when I first wake up in the morning, it's really bad, but throughout the day I'm constantly blowing my nose. I used to always have this thing that happened to me where I would sort of choke on my own spit. I don't know how to explain it. It's not really a swallowing thing, but I would just sort of be caught off guard and start choking. And it's sort of a joke in my family now because I'll just start coughing until I gag or choke really badly, very suddenly, and my eyes will water. And it's funny, but it's also really awful and embarrassing, and it's happened to me in situations like where I'm at a doctor's appointment, or I think once it happened to me when I was at the bank. It's embarrassing. It didn't happen a lot, but it happened too frequently for my liking, and on keto never ever happened. And it's happened to me a few times recently, and that is something that has got to go. I can't emphasize enough how little energy I've had to do simple, basic tasks. On keto, I'm making to-do lists, I'm crossing stuff off, I'm running around the house and getting stuff done. Not on keto, I sit at my desk to try and work, and I get so distracted. I have this brain fog, and I can't focus on what I need to do. And then once I do start focusing, it's on all the wrong things. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but, you know, say a song comes on the radio, a really old song, and I'm like, oh, I think that this is by so-and-so. Who was the lead singer of that band? And then I'm Googling that band, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder, did they date an actress? Because I think they did. And then I'm just confirming things that I vaguely know and will never need to know ever. So then I'm Googling the actress and, oh, wasn't her daughter in that movie? What was that movie? So then I'm on an IMDb page of some washed up actress's child because they dated a singer from a band that was on the radio like an hour before, because I've gone down this rabbit hole of things that don't matter. Sometimes I wish I could lock Google somehow, like have like a ketone tester, you know, do like a blood ketone test in order to use Google, because I have such a bad attitude also, where happy people annoy me and I don't want to leave the house, and I don't want to, you know, like I need to go to the grocery store, but I don't want to talk to any of the cashiers, or like if somebody is stocking shelves and I think that they might say hello to me, I just want to go down a different aisle and forget seeing somebody that I know. I don't know what it is. It's this weird hermit type of thing that happens where I just want to stay at home under a blanket and not have to speak to anybody at all whatsoever. And that is such an ugly way to be as a person. So that's something that I really hate when it happens. But once it happens, like I've said, I get this apathy about it where it's like, yeah, that sucks. It's really not right to be surly towards happy people, because I mean, I want everybody to be happy. I know that sometimes I want them to be happy not around me, but I really want everybody to be happy. So I don't know why I would let that be a thing in my life. And lastly, my memory is just crap. I was trying to say something. Look, I can't even remember what it was. I was trying to say something to my sister a couple of days ago, and I think I was talking about how I needed a new modem. Couldn't remember the word modem, kept saying router. Then once I remembered the word modem, couldn't remember the word router. In other words, in the process. The story was just completely pointless. It was almost like a verbal Mad Libs where I was just not saying something and then everybody else was trying to fill in the words that I was forgetting. And that was awful. That's an awful feeling. So let's just keep that from happening again anytime soon if possible. And this last thing is pretty cheesy, but I really want to say it because I think that any one of you who's watching right now might feel like you need to hear it, and you might feel like you need to do it also. But I really feel like it's important to be a good example for any of you who need a good example. I know that this is everybody's individual battle that they need to fight. I know that nothing that I say or do will necessarily fix a problem someone else is having, but I want to put it out there and lead by example and do the best I can, because I can't tell you how grateful I am for Suzanne. I actually just watched a bunch of her videos on a loop. I think she started recording in week 11 or 10 or 11. And I started just playing her videos in the background while I was working today, just for some sort of subliminal, see, I'm forgetting the word. I just wanted some sort of subliminal inspiration. She constantly inspires me, and she's constantly on the top of my mind because she's so much stronger a woman than I am for deciding to change her life and not once doing anything that she would regret. I will be talking to you guys very soon. I don't know what the future of my keto videos will be like, but I do plan on making a new Keto Bites video soon. Once I get back into it, I don't really have anything for you just yet, but I wanted to touch base on this. If there's any major side effects that you have noticed or anything that keto has done for you or has taken away when you stop doing it, I would love to hear about it, just because I think it's fun to compare notes. Just for example, I have less earwax now. When I'm in ketosis, I have a ton of earwax, which is gross, but it's a good sign. It's my body telling me that I'm healthy. So I don't know. That's just one of those things. So share it with me. Sorry about the earwax. Sorry. That's gross. I hope you weren't eating. Sorry. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.